may have done it.
None of you are aware of this. My phone has been going crazy. There was no sound for this
Right,
entire,
so.
none.
Oh,
None.
trust me, it's been going nuts up here too.
I know, but they didn't know that, so I'm letting them know. So,
That'll be a lot of phone calls.
there were a few texts. So what I would suggest though is that, President Griffin, I think that we need to make sure in this next week that IT is up here testing the microphones
Okay,
so that this doesn't happen again. I don't know if there's no sound because I'm here, but, you know, we're required to do that, so, we need to make sure that that's happening. Apparently, they say it happens often. I don't know that. Obviously, none of you know that either because you're here. So I would suggest that happen this week so that it's ensured that it'll work on the next meeting.
well, we've been texting, text message to Mr. Whitten. He's aware of it right now. He's the IT.
You mean tonight?
Tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah, tonight. He knows it.
Go ahead. It says I have sound now. I'm waiting for people to start yelling at me again.
You ready?
Yeah, go. We're good.
Rules, marketing, and development, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, President Griffin. At this time, I'd like to bring rules, marketing, development, and information technologies to order. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026. The time is 6:42 p.m., and we are in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, including myself as chair, Mrs. Beck as co-chair, and Mrs. Hager. All their council members and others as noted on my sheet. At this time, we have no requests for legislation. We also have no pending legislation. We were going to discuss in our miscellaneous proposed amendments to the rules of council, procedure for filling a vacancy in council. I know a couple people responded to this email. Thank you for that. Did everybody have a chance to review this?
Yes.
The voting?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Is there thoughts or conversation over this?
Maybe you could give a quick summary for everybody.
Yeah, okay. So we are looking for just a very consistent way for us to replace people whenever we have to be the ones doing it. So last year, we had to do this with Ward 2 for Mr. Cheatham, and that was a situation where Mr. Cheatham moved. Then this year, we had to do that because, Mr. Griffin left Ward 3 to become president, and we needed to replace Ward 3. Parts of this are covered in our charter, such as the time frame for things. One note I would make on that is, it says we could keep the ad open for 2 weeks, but I think in an instance like Mr. Griffin, since November 3rd or something of last year, we knew, I think I would have liked to have only had one, because then it would have given us 3 weeks for interviews versus just 2. Versus if we had like an unexpected need to fill, you might need the 2 weeks to make sure everybody knows about it. What are your thoughts? Mr. Moore?
Being currently put on here, I think after the election you had 2 months to think about it. If you weren't prepared to have your resume ready, you weren't going to within those 2 months. I think the 1 week would give you guys more time to deliberate if needed.
I think so too.
No.
If it had been a sudden thing, you might need that 2 weeks to get the word out and people get their consideration together. Mr. Foreman?
I know, when, Mr. Cheatham left, we did know ahead of time, because when he almost gave, what, 30 days notice, I believe.
I believe he kinda started talking about it, you might remember better, beginning of December, but he actually was in his seat till the
Yes.
end of December when I
But
think
the
it
thing
was
is, we
officially
knew
announced.
he was leaving, you know.
I don't think
publicly.
it was
He did
public.
give a lot of notice
Was it
when
I
he
don't think it
finally
was
did
public.
say,
Yeah.
you know, cause it had to get to like, okay, now this really happened. You know,
Right.
there's that escrow phase where it's
Right.
uncertain. So I do think he gave ample notice, but that's not always the case when vacating the seat, right? Like,
Correct.
so,
Yeah, something,
you know,
if something bad happens to
Exactly,
somebody,
yeah.
you might not have that time.
so,
I think we
But I
play
mean, in that
that,
situation, there was also, is
we
what I'm
play
saying.
it by ear, cause I
Yeah,
don't know if
that's
it
what
was
you almost have to
publicly
do, yeah.
announced,
But I would
so.
think in most cases, if the person, you know, like with Shorter's position and also,
Yeah, well, and like I
And
said, the
most-
charter says up to, so we
Yeah.
don't have to take the full time,
yeah.
but it
Yeah.
does give us the two if we needed to, Mr. Moore?
I don't know, this might be a Ms. Miller question, but could you take applications prior to the vacancy, or does it have to be vacant before they could the 2 weeks be like the last 2 weeks of the year? So they'd have the applications, or we had the applications?
If you know the vacancy is gonna occur either by someone announcing the, you know, that they are no longer here, I don't see why you couldn't take the
Okay.
applications.
Okay.
As long, but you have to firmly know that it's not gonna happen, you can't speculate, like if,
Sure.
in using Ken's example, and this is not Ken, but he was like, I don't know, I'm not thinking about it, you know, no, it would have to be a resignation letter, and you could take that, but you cannot interview or vote till the vacancy is actually available.
Got it.
Right.
So, but like in this example, like with Mr. Griffin, it could have gotten the resumes in by
End of December, if you wanted.
End of December, and then could have had interviews
Right.
right after.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, could have almost filled it faster maybe that way.
Potentially.
Okay.
no, I don't know if I'm super excited about narrowing the time frame for qualified people, good people, to fill a vacancy. Like, you know, we say, well, you knew they were, you know, in the case that just happened, somebody was elected and we had a lot of time for people to kind of think about this kind of thing. But I'm not wild about narrowing that time for those qualified people to give us their, hey, please choose me. You know, I want as many people as possible. I want as many good choices as possible. So that's kind of makes me a little hesitant to shorten window for ease of myself to give myself more time, or anyone else, because I won't be here forever, right? So, I don't know, I feel a little bit weird about that.
Well,
Well, I don't wanna shorten it, I was just, Chris asked for a synopsis, I was saying, part of this is already in the charter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The time frame, how the applications come in, you know, if we don't decide in 30 days, the mayor, so part of this is
Right,
charter.
yeah,
So this is now getting in, did you have something?
or, no, I was fighting to keep the 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would
And
like
just-
to keep the
if
2
we- You
weeks.
just move the timeline up on the accepting them prior to the vacancy.
I
In
kind
this
of like
situation, then the
that
2
as
weeks
well.
would be
I
fine
like
anytime.
the suggestion rather than moving it to
To a
a
1 week, yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so I appreciate that if we had more flexibility, because just this year we had really bad weather and we really didn't have an option to reschedule, so you guys had to come in regardless of weather, because we just didn't have options, so a little more flexibility would probably be nice this time of year.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, the only issue that would concern me, but I know that's due to the charter, what if you had a large group of people to go through? That concerns me, you know, if you would have like 10 or 15, you know.
Yeah,
That'd
because
be-
especially if we're doing interviews in the evening, we probably need several nights for especially first interviews, so. Yeah, but I
But you
think,
almost have to play it by ear,
I think the charter wording is fine, honestly,
A
up to 2
safe,
weeks and,
yeah.
so then we were looking at developing council rules. So, meeting for the appointment shall be made at a special meeting of council called for that purpose in accordance with applicable law and notice requirements. Nominations shall be accepted from members of council. All nominations shall be received prior to any vote being conducted. When no further nominations are offered, the council president shall declare nominations closed. A motion to close nominations shall not be required. Nominees may withdraw at any time prior to the final ballot. Thoughts on that? That's more similar to how we did the vice president vote, but it's not how we did the council vote this last time.
Yeah, me personally, I would like to see the nominations up front.
Yeah.
Rather
Because
than
it was-
nominate, vote.
Because it wasn't clear what would it wasn't clear what, if you nominate 3 people vote, and then you nominate 2 people vote, and then there's like 3 people left, like, you're at a draw, and you have to start over anyhow, so like what, it just seems like it would make more sense to nominate up front.
Mr. Moore?
And that's where I think when I had responded, I felt like these rules kind of make it seem like you should eliminate the lowest vote getter or getters, like each slate.
Well, each time there's a vote, if you have the lowest number, you would come off so that we'd be able to narrow it down to a winner.
Right. Or is that what
Because I
this,
think
is that what
there's-
this is saying?
Yeah, we
Already?
haven't, not yet.
Or, oh,
I've only got to section 2.
I'm sorry, okay.
That's no, Mr. Stoll.
Yeah, I was also in favor of that, but then really when I thought about it, like, we could have at most 3 nominations, right? Cause
I
it's,
mean, I think everybody could just keep
It's
nominating people.
well, I mean, on a particular round, you could have 3, right? Cause you're gonna have a vacancy, and so we would have 7 people out there. So it takes a nomination and a second.
I see what you're saying. Gotcha.
Totally not, I think this is great conversation, but you know what else? You could also find other cities that have rules that have it, and then you can copy from them. That's what public records are for. So, right,
I tried to find a couple and there's pretty much like ours, very basic.
yeah,
It
you'd
was
be
very
surprised
basic.
what I might be able to find.
That's true.
You'd probably know how to search it better.
Yeah, no.
Because all I was
I'm-
finding was what our charter had, like, you have X
Right.
many days and then the mayor appoints, couldn't
Not
find
so
the
many-
procedures.
Council rules are not typically published online, for all jurisdictions. I don't know if ours are or not, but, we can call around to some council, cities around us and grab those for you.
Would you like me to send out an email to the Clerks Association?
Sure. Council rules specifically, we don't need the charter. We got what our charter says, but only rules on how to replace a vacant seat.
Okay.
There you go. See?
Thank you.
Hudson,
Thanks, Hillary.
With that, can I have a
Mrs.
motion?
Miller, I want to say something.
Okay.
Remember, you were saying that the nominations, say if it was 3 people nominated, and once you vote yes for that one person, you can't vote again for the other 2.
Okay.
That's Roberts.
Right.
Right.
It's one person.
One person, one vote.
Now, if you were doing a culling of nominations, obviously you would have to vote more than once after the nomination. If you had 3 candidates and you got down, to 2, you are voting again.
Mhm.
That's not the vote I'm talking about.
Right,
Right.
on one ballot, though, one person,
That's
one
correct.
vote.
One
And there are,
person.
I definitely found, processes that have ballots, actual ballots. I found processes that have, a nomination and an oral vote. There are ways to do it. I think that in terms of citizenry, they prefer a oral vote versus a ballot vote. But, those are just some examples. But yes, it's one person, one vote. You can't vote more than once. Okay?
Ms. Gerhart, I remember you were talking about the 2 interviews. Remember it was changed to 2 mandatory for everybody. Remember?
That's- I believe I don't have the full rule.
That's in our rule. That's why we did it. 2.
Yeah. And I think we were hoping that the language, so this is maybe something else we could tweak in the rules if we wanted them back for a second.
Yes.
Because I think even this last time, there were a couple, we probably didn't have all of council needing to hear from some people again.
I know.
Yeah.
And then in the real world, people think when they get the second interview, they think they're moving closer to the top because So by us having 2 for everybody, I know one person was kind of beside themselves because the second interview was thought to be, oh, I'm in good shape, but in our case, it wasn't. Everybody had the 2 interviews. That's because we changed them to 2.
Yeah, but I mean, even if we had only picked 3 people to come back for
Right.
the second,
Mhm.
you'd have 3 people thinking that they were all really close.
Yeah, well, that's
Or
what they thought.
closer than two of them.
I don't think the person was aware that everybody was doing the 2 readings. That's probably what it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, maybe that's a good, thing we could put in place, a clarifier at the
Yes.
end of the first.
Yes.
It's an automatic if we do that,
Yeah.
so, or we just change the language. Mr. Moore?
Yeah, I thought about that, like, from a legal perspective, Mrs. Miller, is it okay to have, sorry, you.
That's all right, no problem.
Is it okay to have a potential not second interview with someone? Is that like seen as a potential elimination? And
So I think that your rules would have to say that. If your rules are everybody has 2 interviews, then everybody has 2 interviews.
Right.
If your rule is some sort of reduction nomination process where, again, you could say if more than 5 people apply, we're going to do a first round and an elimination to 3. I'm making that up. You can make it anything you want. So I understand, right, if you had 10 people applying, it would be very difficult to do 20 interviews, right, 10 and 10. So you could set those parameters. If 3 or less people apply, there will be 1 interview. I'm just suggesting it, you do whatever you want. If 3 to 7 people apply, we will do 2 interviews. Now, you could do 1 interview and maybe you have 5 people and you did 1 interview and 4 there's just absolutely no way, that 4 of them would be qualified or, some reason you could, there's nothing that says you have to have a second interview unless you say you're going to require 2 interviews. So I think you might wanna have a numbers thing where you have, if this amount of people apply, this is the process. 1, perhaps 2. If 3 to 10 people apply, you just decide. I mean, but you can definitely set that parameter in there, and you can also just vote on it. You could say, we'll have 2 absent of vote of council to have 1, right? You can put that in there.
The word we need is what you just said, perhaps, because right now it reads, council shall convene no fewer than 2 meetings. So we didn't. word
I
it
understand that,
correctly.
except you would have to say what the way you wouldn't have to. So you would say, again, either the number of people, or you take a vote and reduce the field, or you take a vote after 1. I mean,
Okay,
I think you can have alternatives,
yeah,
but you just have to spell those out.
right, and we'd have to change our council rules so that we can do that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to change council rules anyways.
Yeah.
To make it be your process, yeah. But you should have a process, I think, that both you and an applicant would know what potentially could happen in the process.
Thank you.
So I think taking Mrs. Miller's advice, we'll see if there's some other cities that have it spelled out. Was there any other thoughts broadly about it? Mr. Moore, I know you had questioned about president voting.
Oh,
Are you good with that?
yeah, I'm kind of still torn on it. Like,
Okay.
do we know how long, because our council rules say the president can have a vote for replacing a ward person. In the council rules, they may vote specifically. If that's the precedent the city's had, I'm okay with it. I kind of, like I said, kind of see it as, I would hope that they see themselves sitting in the seat that is vacant and would represent that community or that ward and vote for who they think would be the best. But I also see consistency in President Ellen breaking ties.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes it easier to follow. And I think you're, like in this case, we still had our Ward 3 in the room for that conversation, but like last year, we wouldn't have had Kenny in the interviews
Sure.
for that feedback, so that's where you'd rely heavily on your at-larges, I think.
Sure.
So, all right, well, I'll talk to Lisa, and, is there anything else on this, or anything else missing on this?
Kind of a little bit.
Oh,
thinking.
hold on one second, you got your
Oh,
hand signed
No.
up before you?
So I just wanted to go over Rule 106, the special meeting rule, because Mr. Harris mentioned that he had requested a special meeting and we didn't follow through on that, so I just didn't know if there were rules or we weren't following the process correctly, or what should have happened there.
On this particular case, I talked to Mrs. Miller before about the special meeting, and she said we didn't have to we've handled in miscellaneous discussion here.
Let me,
Yeah.
kind of, true, yes, a little bit of confusion. So, we were at, one meeting, and I had sat over there, it was the night that the Coventry people were here, and Mr. Harris tried to speak, and you said you would need a special meeting.
Right.
Okay, so, the way I see the timeline in my mind is that since you made that comment, they called for a special meeting.
Mhm.
In between that time, I spoke to you, and I
Right.
said, well, you don't have to have a special meeting.
Right.
You can have it during,
Council.
council.
Mhm.
I think the issue is nothing was communicated back and forth.
Okay.
Like, Mr. Harris and the folks that said, yes, I'd have a special meeting, didn't hear from you to say, hey, we're gonna
Right,
talk about
right.
this in an open meeting. And then they would've went, oh, okay, I got that, you know, and again, you know, Mrs. Beck is, we do sometimes think we've done something, like I'm sure President Griffin thought he did that, like once he heard it from you, it was like, oh, okay, we'll just do this in a regular meeting. But they were left, those of you who request especially, were kind of left hanging, wondering what happened to my request for a special
Right.
meeting. Now, again, I think that it would be helpful for council, this does not have to be a council rule, but that council have some sort of discussion about what the responsibility is of when council members are communicating, not substantive issues, but scheduling issues which are permitted, and your council clerk is not working, right? She works, I'm gonna say part-time, 8 to noon, for the most part, right? So if it's communicated to her, but nobody else, namely President Griffin, there's no direction that can be given, right? She's not seeing the email, she's out, essentially, and he didn't see the email if he wasn't sent the email, if only she was. Now, if she and he were sent the emails, it's my belief that all of you are checking emails on a regular daily basis because that's how your constituents communicate with you. So assuming you all are seeing your emails on a daily basis, and you not only copied or sent it to Lori, but you sent it to the president, he should be responding back, again, not about substantive issues, but about these types of issues, like scheduling issues. How are we going to accomplish that? That's how, I just would encourage you to be very clear amongst each other what your expectations are, because Lori is not expected to see her emails 24 hours a day. I believe, my opinion, is that council members would be checking emails on a regular, semi-daily basis, or more often, because that's how your constituents can speak to you. Yes.
Mrs. Miller, so in our council rules, it says, in the absence of the clerk, the council president shall assume this duty.
Right, I don't
So
know.
in that
Okay.
instance,
Yeah.
Mr. Harris, was Mr. Griffin on it on that Thursday?
Everybody was on it.
Oh, I apologize, I didn't know that.
So then, with Miss Lori being out Friday, it would have been Mr. Griffin's responsibility to call the special?
Right,
If he-
again, assuming
away
he
the
saw the
couch.
email.
Okay.
So, but I just think you need to have that conversation amongst yourselves, like what is your expectation? Because, you know, maybe some of you set very good boundaries and you're like, I'm not going to be checking my emails every day, all day long, you know, maybe others set a time aside, you know, I don't know how each of you choose to fulfill your duties, but I just think you need to be clear about that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I
Before
think
we
that
say
maybe her question was better than mine. How do we agree on-
I think she's been around the block
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
1 minute, Mrs. Miller.
Okay, so I'll two-part it then, because we kind of switched gears a tiny bit. That's a lot of what I was talking about prior, like our communication between ourselves has to improve. You know, I know I do my best, and, you know, some people will call me from time to time, but we gotta talk to each other more, guys. You know, that's what I mean by getting our house in order. Our houses are out of order. We have to communicate better. But we also have to know how we are allowed to communicate and not allowed to communicate, and there are some people here still learning those steps. And I commend you all for, you know, rifling through your stuff. But we all gotta do a little bit better. Anyway, but I was gonna kind of switch gears and go back to how we were talking about, voting amongst ourselves for a vacant seat. I think that maybe like the if-thens, if there are 10, we do 3, if-thens are a little too, it's a little too restrictive. You know, A equals B equals C only if the sun is shining, it's kind of weird. I feel like we need to just do something that says like, call back candidates that council feels are the most qualified for a second round of interviews, or
At council's
something that's more
discretion.
round. Yeah.
Does that not,
No,
oh, I'm sorry.
my turn.
Let's do that.
Hold
You have to
on,
raise your
hold
hand.
on, one moment, we're pausing.
Hold on to what she's saying. It says that after the interviews are sent in, you guys can meet, and just scratch what I just said. After the resumes are all in, you guys meet and decide who you want to interview, is what it says in there, so that might be a step for you as well.
Thank
So
you.
some
I'm
people
gonna go
don't
sit.
even get-
I think we should, maybe a little bit, that's my opinion. But yeah, I think they're just more rounded words rather than, doing some math equation about how many people we have.
Okay. Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
This is,
Sorry.
no, it's my turn.
Listen, that is super confusing, everyone.
Mrs. Julie Miller?
There you go.
Okay, this is going to be a quick one. I just want to tell you that Hudson Council just replaced council people. My nephew-in-law was chosen for the council, and then the president of council quit because he decided he couldn't work with those people. So, they may have something you want to see.
Thank you.
I'll get a hold of their clerk tomorrow.
Mr. Moore?
My only thing to the narrowing people down after an interview, does that not require a consensus vote that you're not allowed to do behind closed doors? That's my whole concern with the having the second interview. You see what I'm saying? That was the,
Mrs. Lisa Miller?
Yes.
That's it.
I don't know if you heard Mr. Moore's
Yes.
question, but let's say we had wrapped up 5 interviews in one evening. Are we allowed?
You would adjourn out of executive
We adjourn
session
out.
into, public
To
meeting.
vote on who gets a second
Mhm.
interview?
You could, yes, if that's what
Okay.
you chose to do.
that'd be the only legal way to really do it.
Well, that's why we
Yeah,
did.
that's,
That's what
okay.
we
That's
did.
the way we did. So it is.
Well, we brought everybody back for the second. so
Yeah.
we
Well, but I
didn't-
mean, we went out of session.
Yeah.
And we
And
went
we
back
would have
in,
to vote
you know,
for
to
who
vote
gets
for,
the
so it's
second
public,
interview.
yes. So
Okay.
we would do the same thing for the first, if you wanted to round it off,
Okay,
I would think.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Any other miscellaneous conversation? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I will second.
Thank you, we are adjourned at 7:08.
Thank you, Ms. Gearhart. City Utilities, Mr. Stoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call the City Utilities Committee to order. Today is February 9th, 2026. It is 7:09. We are in council chambers. All members of my committee are present, myself as chair, Ms. Hager is co-chair, and Ms. Miller. All members of council are also present, and guests as noted on my sheet. Topics of discussion for tonight, we have 2 requests for legislation. The first is a letter from Denny Weaver, Utilities Director, requesting legislation authorizing the mayor to apply for, accept, and enter into a water pollution control loan fund agreement on behalf of the city of Barberton for design, bidding, construction, administration, and construction of the wastewater facilities project, emergency wording, and 1 reading requested. So I just saw this this morning. So Mr. Weaver, would you mind giving us sort of some more information about this?
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, this loan request is for a project that's being required by Ohio EPA. It is to address bypasses of partially treated wastewater at the treatment plant. As you know, in past decades, large treatment plants have been, EPA has been requiring them to eliminate bypasses. You know, an example would be City of Akron put in a large tunnel system to store water, putting in a hydrant system. You know, for a large city like that with combined sewers, it's pretty expensive. We're fortunate with the city of Barberton that we do not have combined sewers. Our storm sewers and our sanitaries are separate. So in this case, we can address it, you know, more economically than what they could. So the EPA required us to put together alternatives in our last permit in order to address this issue. The last we had bypasses, we had no bypasses in 2025. We had 2 in 24, none in 23, 2 in 22, 1 in 21. So there's 5 bypasses basically in the last 5 years. So it isn't a real common thing. This is partially treated waste. It goes through our, with the headworks of the treatment plant, it goes through screening, goes through grit removal, primary treatment. It is actually hit with chlorine before we discharge that with those bypasses. However, it does not meet today's standards. So they are coming down to the smaller plants now in making those requirements. As part of the permit, we were required to come up with alternatives. And so we worked with our consultant CT in conjunction with EPA, and 4 alternatives were identified. On the most expensive one was over $17 million. And then there was 2 other projects going down from 15 million, 14 million. And then the least expensive was 8 million, it was 349,000. The reason that one is so much less is that, you know, we've been expecting this coming down the road. We've seen it coming. And we came up with an idea in-house to split some flows in the treatment plant. We have 2 forms of biological treatment in plant, or what they call secondary treatment. And I was aware of it's actually a old bypass line in the treatment plant from our 1960s plant, that it was existed but abandoned. We excavated it, discovered that it was still in real good shape, brought it up to our consultants and the EPA to be able to split those flows. If you went on one of the tours at the wastewater treatment plant, when you pull in, you see those big towers when you come in the main gate. That's one form of treatment. Those are called trickling filters. Then it's followed by activated sludge. But if we split those, we can, instead of treating a maximum of 12 million gallons a day, we can jump that up to over 20 million gallons a day. So we received permission to do so. And back in, it was right around 2014, we was going through a project. We added that ability to do it, put in some valves, put in some overflows. We did it for, it was several $100,000 to do that, but we put it in and it worked. We found that we could meet permit doing that. So we've incorporated that into these alternatives, and that's reduced this by about $6 million in order to do it. It was kind of an out-of-the-box type of thinking. It was foreign to our consultant. EPA had to take a little while to think it through, but we proved that it worked well, and you know, so it took a little bit of work inside, but it's substantially reducing what it's going to cost us to do this required project. Also on this, with this loan, and by doing it this year, and that's why I come to you a little bit earlier on this and what we would typically do. I want to get this moving because 2026, our revolving loan, state revolving loan fund has principal forgiveness in it. And it's possible to get up to $4 million forgiven. I don't know how much we can get done, but I think this project fits pretty well. So I'd love to get things moving so I can get some more taken off. And also, I'll come back to council following the budget passage. And then we'll, with a contract for design, if we can get that design done by August, I can also apply for Ohio Public Works Commission funds, and we've been very successful with that. So we can knock some additional millions off that $8 million project. I feel we have a good chance at that. I can't promise that, but I think we have a pretty good chance at it based on kind of the past experience we've had with those programs. So that's what this is about. I'm asking permission just to apply for the loan now. Of course, we will be coming back for the design contract. We'll be coming back when we, take this to bid, for bid approval. So there'll be, opportunities to look at this further on down the line. But I just wanted to get the ball rolling so we can get it, this thing going to possibly get that principal forgiveness.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I appreciate the ingenuity. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love hearing that. Yeah, my follow-up question was gonna be, how do we pay for it, right? So, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you for explaining all of that.
Mhm.
When you were talking about the 17 million, 15, 14, 8,
Right?
were those all to be added together, or you were saying it
No,
went
each
down
one, those
from-
were all, there were 4 alternatives.
Gotcha.
And
Thank you.
the highest was 17,164,000. These are engineering estimates.
Mhm.
And each of them has a contingency that's in that as well.
Okay.
And so they, it's a buffer to make sure it covers it. The second one was 15,163,000. Then there was a 14,381,000. And then using the alternative that we came up with, was 8,349,000. And EPA has basically approved us taking that approach.
Yeah.
So we considered that a pretty big win
I
in
think
order
so
to do
too.
that.
Cut it.
And then
more
with the
room.
other things we can do, principal forgiveness, maybe some OPWC, I'm really hoping to get that knocked down even more. And if you're wondering, if a 1% rate increase would cover about $55,000. And so $1 million, that's about the debt service on it with the current WPCLF rates of about 3.44 current rates. But so I think it's very manageable for us to do this, especially if we knock off of some of that loan. And I'm feeling pretty good about the project. It's been a big concern of mine actually for a lot of years. I was manager of the plant back when we originally were trying to think through all this process, knowing that it was coming down the line. And it was a bit scary to me to see what's happened to other communities. So we spent some time looking for alternatives to be able to make this happen.
And just to be clear, this is mandatory, this is the EPA mandated.
We don't really have a choice.
Yeah.
Although we don't have many, and that's one reason why we're on the tail end of this too. Since we haven't had a lot of them, but they don't want any. There's to be no bypasses. And, alternatives include, storage. We could add another, one of the alternatives was to add a large, a basin to hold this. And that was one of the most expensive to do. Or we could increase secondary capacity, so you had to add another final clarifier. In all cases, we had to add more disinfection at the end of the plant. With this alternative, we're adding another bar screen, grit removal, a primary clarifier, and then the disinfection. So, but with all the other alternatives, you have to add those elements as well. But we're able to use something that we've already installed, we did very economically, and keep the cost down. That's where the $6 million savings coming in.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I was just talking to Mr. Shreve today. I would love to better understand some of the strategic priorities of the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
So that,
And I'm always happy to show that down there. A lot of people don't like going to the sewage plant, but I've always kind of liked it, taken a lot of pride in that over the years. I spent nearly 40 years down there. And we work hard to make this work and to do these projects, make them work out well. So,
Yeah,
this
Nobody says it, but everybody appreciates what you guys do.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
I was thinking-
We'll just say you put up with a lot of crap.
That's true.
Just wanted to echo what you said. I mean, that is really some incredible work. I think that we all kind of need to take a moment and think about cutting millions of dollars in half. And that's the kind of thing that you can do when you are really kind of focused on your work and focus on doing,
And
on
we all
doing
work
good
together on those things down there. It
Yeah.
just isn't one person that does it, and they do take a lot of pride in that down there, you know, and most people don't even have a clue who works down there, because you usually don't see them, but they do a nice job, and I've always enjoyed working with them. And there's been a good crew.
It's incredible, thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Just real quick, do you have like a time, like a longevity of this project, and based on like the, like, I don't know if you would know, like, an average like loan term for this fund?
You have the life cycle of it?
Sure.
Yeah, has to be more than 30 years, and typically when you do it, you're always doing some repairs. You know, in that type of environment, you're always replacing pumps, that sort of thing. But for another major upgrade, you know, I'm thinking you're probably 20 years away from at least something that would be significant. And the life cycle for that process should be around 30 years. But as you know, with EPA, they're always changing rules. And so if something comes up and you have to treat to a higher degree, there's no guarantee on all that. I wish there was. But it keeps us scrambling to stay ahead of things.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ms. Weaver.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'd like to move to put this on the consent agenda.
I
Second.
make a motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the second request is a letter from Todd Shreve, Service Director, requesting legislation to allow the mayor to amend the electric supply agreement with Dynergy due to Dynergy submitting the lowest rate formulation via a request for proposal, emergency wording requested. And Mr. Shreve and I spoke about this, and I told him I don't know anything about this energy rates other than as a consumer. So I think at least I need to learn more, and I spent this weekend trying to figure out the differences, and I don't know, I need more time to learn about this. So I was hoping, Mr. Shreve, you could tell us all a little bit about what our choices are here with the consultants versus some of the other options.
So, what's in front of you is a request to enter into an agreement with Dynergy. So if you got the ones that were here a year ago, you remember, it was kind of the same song and dance a year ago. It was, at that point in time, it was like, the rates are climbing, we're not real sure what the climate's going to be. We suggest, doing a 12-month, and I don't remember what the exact differential in rates were at that time. So we did 12 months, we came back a year later, and we're looking at them again, and it's looking like they're going to consistently climb. So that's what Mr. Stoll, Councilman Stoll and I were discussing. At some point, we are responsible for not only trying to get the best rate, but also putting a ceiling on it, so that you know that you're never going to pay more than, this figure. Talking with our consultants, and something that I didn't realize that I was educated on was that the cold weather actually affects electricity. You would think that it would affect the gas because you heat your house with gas, but a lot of electricity is generated with natural gas. So as the cold weather goes down, the demand for gas goes up, so the price for gas goes up, which means the price for electric climbs also. I didn't realize that. I didn't really put two and two together. 2 weeks ago, when I sat down with IEC, they proposed a rate of 0.0933. No, that's not correct, because it was 1033. My numbers are jumbling in my head, but either way, it was 0.09 ...
80.
And then they came back to me, so just the other day, I said, well, I knew the last time that they moved daily.
Yeah.
So I said, I need an update. Well, they gave me an update the other day, and now it's over 10 cents. they claim climate is gonna move with the fluctuation of the temperatures, but again, we don't really know. So, that being one option, the other option is something that has been discussed in the past, and that is going with a council of governments. So, NOPEC, which forgive me, I should probably know what that stands for by now.
Northeast Ohio Public Energy System or something like that.
I'm trying to play the commercial.
I can't remember what I said
Yeah,
exactly.
you
or-
looked it up.
Yeah, well, I'm going to while we're talking. So that is an option. I reached out to them, and they have a standard plan. Right now, they are not, in a position with the climate the way that it is, willing to offer, a fixed rate for any, length of time. Because right now, the temperatures have driven, they feel that they've driven it up falsely. They think that once the weather levels out, there'll be a better rate, but at this point in time, they're not willing to give us a 12-month or a 24-month, but we can enter their standard plan. Their standard plan right now, through the end of May, is, I believe, 8.49. They also offer more options. So you can get in their standard plan, but they do also have a 12-month and a 24-month that is offered once we become members of NOPEC. So you would have to become a member of NOPEC first. So that involves council voting to become a member, do public meetings. There's a process to follow because you would be joining a council of government. So, I mean, I feel like after having conversation with Mr. Stoll, Councilman Stoll, that those are really the only two viable options. But it's something that as a, you know, as I'm not a citizen of Barberton, but as a citizen period, I would want my, you know, my leaders to make a decision based on what I want, not necessarily how they feel. So that's why I'm here talking to you guys and just kind of wanting to get a feeling, even though that there's legislation in front of you. I mean, you guys can say, no, Director Shreve, I want to go with the same company, IEC, that we've been with. I feel like setting that ceiling for 25 months is a good plan, and we'll go that route. But if you guys want to research and tell me how you feel about, you know, the other option, I'm open either way.
Ms. Paxton.
Question, Melissa. So, to become a member of this NOPEC, what does that mean? What do we have to do? How long does it take? Because if we're going to kind of flirt with that, our rate, on the other hand, could be going up. And we've kind of missed, you know what I mean?
So that's a good question. So with that, so in order to join, so again, like I said, legislation would need to be passed by City Council to join NOPEC. 2 public hearings on the NOPEC plan of operation and the governance would need to be conducted before council completely adopts the plan. And that would actually take us probably just past the expiration of our current agreement. So what happens in that instance is for that 1 month, everyone that's on the aggregate would revert to the first energy rate, which is a publicly traded rate for that 1 month, and then they would be enrolled into the aggregate if they chose not to opt out.
Follow-up question to this. Follow-up question to it. So if we don't really know what we're kind of like becoming a member for, like, they're not gonna show you, like, they're not showing you a rate that we're kind of like scrambling for, like.
So NOPEC negotiates, so I sit down with IEC right now, so it was 12 months ago, and I just sat down with them, well, I didn't even sit down with them, I said, hey, go ahead and bid out our aggregate. NOPEC does that on a rolling 6-month schedule. So instead of locking in a long-term rate, they lock it in at 6 months at a time. So if you go with their standard plan, you would be set for 6 months at the rate that is in their standard plan. They have an option of a 24-month plan, so if you don't like and you don't want to roll every 6 months with what they're negotiating. You can lock in for 12, you can also lock in for 24. So they do offer that. So that is the one benefit when I look at it. So I mean, Chris might have a different view than you do, Emily, so he might want to roll 6 months at a time, but you might say, you know what, I really feel more comfortable locking in, knowing what I'm paying for 24. So that would be the only thing that I would see.
Do I
that's-
know what those rates are while I'm trying to become a member? Like, you know, I could have a bird in the hand over here, but then go through all of this and not get a better rate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do.
what am I doing on the other side of that? Like, am I, you know,
Are we guaranteed a better
spending
rate?
time to spend that time and not lock in my rate now, and then leave everybody on the fluctuating rate for 1 month? And then on the other side of it, well, hilarious, it's even more. So, you know, like,
So I think when we looked at it, like, we don't know what the rates are gonna be, but like, it's gonna be the going rate, right? So it's not, it's gonna be like what they're charging now is the going rate for
what's the going
aggregation.
rate now?
Ms. Gerard.
Mr. Shreve, is there a cost to join NOPEC?
I am not aware of any. I do know that a representative from NOPEC would be more than happy to come, you know,
Could we
also.
do that? I know I had to join, like a small council to get healthcare for my company, so I never.
I'm not aware of any costs. Mayor, are you aware of any? I know we've negotiated with them in the past.
NOPEC?
Yeah.
No, I mean, the rates change and fluctuate so much. We look at this every year, look at NOPEC. We've not gone with them in the past because we've always been able to lock in a lower rate without NOPEC. But every year we look at this, and, you know, was it a week or two, then it jumped from 0.9 to 10 in a short amount of time. So we talked, Todd and I talked and said, we need to throw this out, right? This isn't a, and again, this is whatever's decided is just an option for the customer, the resident. They can go do whatever they want. But this is so close, it's not apples and oranges, right? It's pretty darn close here. But I'm not aware of any fee.
Ms. Gerard.
So my other question was, I also did not know that my electric was higher in the winter because it was being cold. I thought it was my electric blanket, so I'm glad you told me that. That being said,
So it probably is your electric blanket, but you're paying the same per kilowatt hour.
there was some spikes on the old electric bill, and it seemed to coincide with the electric blanket. But here's my question, what if we waited till spring? Does the time of year help at all?
So that's a question that I am not certain of. I mean, I don't shop electric rates all the time. So I'm sure that there's a certain, with anything, when you're making a purchase, there's a perfect time to buy.
Yeah.
You know, and how, I guess how, cause that was one of my questions. So when they presented to me, they presented 4 options. It was another 12 month, it was a 13 month, it was a 24 and a 25. The 13 and the 25 month, which is an odd month, or an odd amount of months, was actually the better rates. So I think the 13 month was actually the lowest rate, but again, they think, when I say they, I mean the people that study this and watch the electricity all the time, they seem to think that in 12 months, it's going to still be climbing. So they are suggesting locking in now at a 25 month rate, and 25 months was a little bit cheaper than a 24. So my brain says, well, getting past the December, January, February month to negotiate, but maybe it will get us onto a better cycle also. And maybe the rate would be cheaper at that point.
That's what I'm
So-
thinking.
Mr. Moore.
But on your letter, how long, was it 12 months? I don't think it said how long the new rate would be for.
Okay, so I might not have included, it would be 25.
It was the 25?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
That was their suggestion.
Okay.
Ms. Beck.
So, really quick, this 8 cents 49, that would be to get us through till May, and that's a little bit cheaper than what we're paying now.
So the thing is so we are currently locked in through May. So
Right.
that is an example from
Got
NOPEC.
it.
the-
all that is, so
Yeah.
Their next 6 months starts in June and would go June on.
I got you.
So that's where I don't know what their next 6 months.
Okay, let me ask you this. So I understand that like you can't know, you know, if we go through this and what will we be getting because the rates change. But as of today, if we were members, would we be getting a better rate than this 10 cents? We were already in it.
With NOPEC?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were with NOPEC.
So I mean, right, what their current offers are is lower, yes.
Okay.
I just, while I'm listening carefully, of course, to, Mr. Shreve, NOPEC is the Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council and is Ohio's largest nonprofit government energy aggregator with a buying power of over 240 communities. If you wanna see, you just go on their website and they have a map and you can zoom in and out and you can see who's in and out, and they have a little drop for gas and a little lightning bolt for electric, and you can see that. So, I just was giving you that information, cause you had asked, so I was telling you. Thank you. And you didn't remember.
I couldn't remember. Well, so the thing is so there's also a SOPEC. So SOPEC is sustainable, or something along those lines. But yeah, SOPEC. I along with Councilman Stoll, you know, have been diving into this and trying to learn, and I mean, ultimately, I think we're all in it to get the best rate that we can for the community and ourselves and each other. And I wish that there was a crystal ball that we could rub and say, this is what it's going to be on this day at this time, and we're gonna sign then. Because that's, Councilman Stoll even asked too, you know, he said, we were talking the other day, and he's like, well, you know, if it dips or whatever, can we sign on? Well, we can't, because it takes legislation.
Yeah.
So that being said too, NOPEC, once we become a member, Ms. Miller, they do the negotiating for us, so they offer us, so we would not,
We're done.
it's not, I'm not gonna come to you 12 months, 24 months, again, because we belong to a council of government that's going to negotiate these rates with these other communities for us.
So and I think when I was looking, like, I don't know anything about them other than what their website and people online say, but it looked like they also advocate for the people that they're buying electricity for, right? And in the context of all of the electricity problems and us having to like fight First Energy to provide a decent level of service, the more people we can get on our side that are like fighting for us, like that was one of the things, and I don't know how far that goes, but that was interesting to me versus sort of the broker who's just sort of like, yeah, I'll try to get you a good rate, and then you're kinda on your own, right?
And the other thing is, I mean, we do have a history with IEC, and they have treated us very well. I mean, if you guys remember, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, we were at 4.97, and that was thanks to them. They did, you know, they went out and they petitioned and they got us that rate. And the feather in their cap was, they were fairly consistently lower than NOPEC. But you do get a few more things, like Councilman Stoll has pointed out, you know, you get some advocacy, you get some partnership. We do have a little bit of partnership with, but it's not so much with IDC, but Dynegy offers some grant funding for some energy efficiency, but NOPEC also offers a very similar thing. And I mean, I think that the presentation that they, the preliminary information I got from them, you know, it's a grant of up to I wanna say it's $38,000, you know, to use towards energy efficiency, whether it's lighting or heating or things like that in buildings, just to be more energy efficient throughout the city.
Any more? Mr. Ayers?
Thank you, Mr. Stoll. So this, in your request letter, it says the price as of 2/6/26 was .1033, and you say that's for a 25-month plan?
25 months.
Okay.
Because they initially when we were talking to Councilman Harris, they were wanting us to try to lock in at below that 10 because the initial was 9.8 or whatever that other number is on there. And they thought that that was a win, because if we could lock in under 10 cents for a 25-month term, because they felt that it was going to climb to 10 fairly quickly, which it did, and they said they feel like it's going to continue. So that keeping it under that 10 cents, again, these are people that look at this energy stuff all of the time and are trying to, predict the market.
And you said in your letter, Dynegy, formerly known as Energy Harbor, because I actually went into Apples to Apples today, and Energy Harbor still
They
exists.
do exist.
And so does Dynegy, and Energy Harbor is consistently below Dynegy by several cents. I mean, I did my own shopping, and,
Okay.
because I've always been able to beat the aggregate rate. So I was just wondering, Dynegy and Energy Harbor,
So I was told that Dynegy bought out Energy Harbor the last time we negotiated this, but I did notice that the other day that Energy Harbor, there is still an Energy Harbor, whether or not it's, I don't know. I don't know if Dynegy bought up.
well, I know when I talked to Energy Harbor back in December, they answered the phone at Energy Harbor, they still have a website.
Okay.
They're always pretty much lower than everybody else. So, I mean, that's why I do my own homework on it. So, thank you.
Ms. Beck?
It was like that last year too. There was a Dynegy and an Energy Harbor last year as well. I don't know what that story was. But also, I do remember last year that in the time that it took us to talk about it and vote on it, I wanna say the rate went up, I wanna say once or at least twice, and it was considerable, cause I remember being like irritated about it. That we missed out on a good rate or a lower of the higher rate.
Sure thing.
And by the time we actually voted, it was quite a bit more. So that's kinda why I'm asking, like, hang on a minute, if we, kinda bumble around with this membership stuff, is that a better choice? So it did help knowing that you get perks and things like that, so that's a plus. But like, this is a serious for me, I find this like a serious decision. So that's why I'm asking all of these things, like, hang on a minute. So,
Could we have the NOPEC representative come in?
Yeah, that's what, so, Mr. Shreve and I talked about having this run for 3 readings, but I think what I wanna do instead is I wanna just hold this and see if we can get them, to come in and talk to us, and then, we make a decision, then, just.
So,
send it
and
out.
with that being said, if you would like to hold it, would you guys like representatives from both companies? I can have IEC come in, I'm sure they would be happy to put together, they put together a small presentation for me when they present the rates, but obviously 2 weeks later, there's rates that, they're not even the same, so like, they could bring in and present again.
Yeah, if we could get them to come on the same night, that would be amazing.
Isn't that kind of like having FedEx and UPS deliver to your house at the same time kind of thing?
Keep them honest,
Arm
yes.
wrestle.
well, the rate is going up, like I just said, it went up by the
Okay.
time we talked about
Yeah.
it, so like, we have to like also educate ourselves.
They're competing, they gotta put on their best show.
Mr. Corman.
I think no matter what happened, you gotta think of this, it really seems like this will be whatever we decide, it's more like we're deciding what will be the long-term effect. Even though maybe right now the rate might be higher, but would we be able, in the long term, get a better deal with NOPEC or the other companies? So we might, in the short term, it might hurt a little bit, but maybe in the long term, maybe it'll be a better deal.
Yeah,
It is going to be a difficult
if
decision.
nothing else, I could save Mr. Shreve some time, and he doesn't have to keep negotiating with me over energy, so.
Yeah.
So, it's just gonna be one of those things, no matter what we do, it's gonna probably hurt.
Yes.
So there are, there's surrounding communities that, so I encourage you to reach out to council in Norton's a NOPEC community. See how their experience has been. I don't know if you guys know anybody over there, but, feel free to pick their brain and see what their thoughts are. I don't know, is New Franklin, Lisa, I think? You
For
guys-
some reason, I can't get that to
to load
Okay,
on my
I
phone.
forgot, I thought we had a conversation earlier, but, so I mean, I would encourage that.
Mr. Moore, you had something?
No, I'm good, sorry.
Ms. Miller?
I do know that my electric bill went up to $400 last month.
Jesus, wow.
And I was like, what? So,
You have electric.
Did you get
Are
a
you
smart
on the
meter?
aggregate?
yeah. We have a smart meter now.
And Monty, just real quick,
Yes, sir.
Councilman Harris.
Yeah.
AI, so again, this is AI, I was just curious, so AI says that, Energy Harbor is now Dynegy following its acquisition by Vista Corp, in March of 2024. For customers in municipal electric aggregation programs, this rebrands the supplier from Energy Harbor to Dynegy. So it sounds like for the aggregation programs, they go by Dynegy, they still exist as Energy Harbor.
It's just funny that the aggregation is, you know, you have a ton of people that is in our aggregate, and we can't get a better rate than, like, you know, I think I saved, probably $1.30 or so on my rate the last time, just because I shopped it myself. I didn't worry about the aggregation, I knew I could get better deals. That's the way I went. So, just, it's kind of funny that Dynegy and Energy Harbor are one and the same, but yet they don't offer the aggregation, that deal that they give to individuals. So,
Yeah, so I just think it's important that we set the ceiling,
Right.
so that, you know, like, as residents come into town, if they're coming in now and rates are high, we're at least giving them some sort of ceiling where they can
Right.
get in if they can't get the rates like you can, you know? So, I think I'll just hold this, and if we can get, you know, if we can get both of them in, if we can get somebody come in, I would appreciate that.
Well, what meeting would you like me to try to schedule?
Well,
Next Monday,
yeah, whichever one works, I
Tuesday,
think.
right?
Yeah, next
We got
Tuesday,
Tuesdays,
council will.
Mondays,
Yeah.
on Monday.
Oh, Monday's President's Day.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's Tuesday.
Maybe Tuesday.
So it's Tuesday.
I'll reach out to them and see if I can get them here on Tuesday.
Thank you, Mr. Shreve.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Shreve.
Hey Todd, if you wanna give them my information, I'm more than
Okay.
happy to get them all set up.
Tuesday's also BCA, I believe.
Yep.
So. I'll be busy.
Like you're not already busy.
Yeah.
Okay, we have no other pending legislation at this time. Is there any other miscellaneous discussion from my committee?
I make a
From the body?
motion. There- Anybody else talking?
The gallery?
I make a motion that we
Move that we
close.
adjourn?
That we adjourn, yes.
All right. Second?
I'll second.
And we are adjourned at 7:38.
Thank you, Mr. Stoll. Finance and Personnel, Mr. Poorman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call the Finance and Personnel meeting to order. It is Monday, February 9th, and I have 7:40 on my, here, 47. We're in council chambers, myself as chair, Crystal as co-chair, and Monty Harris, and all council members present, and also those noted. I guess at this point, it's for Jeremy Flaker to present the February finance. January, excuse me, I'm in February, yeah.
All right, we're gonna start off with the health insurance fund. For the month of January, our revenues were just over 494,000. Our expenditures, just over 474,000, makes our net year-to-date almost, positive 20,000. Moving on to the income tax fund, our estimate for the month of January was 1,166,000, we'll call it. Our actual came in at 1,255,000. We were over our estimate by 89,000. We did not transfer anything this month. We will do a transfer, or we didn't transfer anything in January. We'll do a transfer this month to do what was in the temporary budget that was passed in December. So we'll do that transfer this month, or in the month of February. Looking at the statement of cash receipts and disbursements, usual suspects in the negative. The first one, city grant fund, that is, city grant fund is the sludge to watering building. The FEMA fund is the dam grant. The CDBG fund is our federal HUD program. All those are federal grants that we've received, where we have to expend the money before we get reimbursed. So we're in the process of getting that money spent, getting it reimbursed. So as those projects close out, we should get out of the negative. And then the only other one is on the next page is the health insurance fund. And that is just from us opening up the PO for the first 3 months for our healthcare costs that we have to pay Summit County. Looking at the last 3 months of activity, you'll notice the general fund did decrease by about 2.1 million last month, well, this month. Couple things, you look at the disbursements were up by almost a little over 900,000. And not only that, we didn't have any transfer into that fund from last month. So those two things combined is what drew that down. Special revenue funds is up. Special revenue funds is up because we didn't do a transfer out of income tax, so that money's sitting there in the special revenue funds. If we did do that transfer, you're probably looking at the special revenue funds about staying the same from 1 month to the next. Enterprise funds decreased slightly. The enterprise funds has a lot of debt service. Their debt service always hits in December and January. Not only that, if you look, the encumbrances outstanding also went up by about 400,000. Those things combined is just what drew that down. All other funds, you'll notice that did decrease, but a lot of that decrease is just stemming from us opening up the first 3 months of the healthcare PO to Summit County. Looking at January of 25 to January of 26, you'll notice the cash balance has decreased by about 3.7 million, 3.8 million. A lot of that is attributed to the transfer from the general fund to the special project fund that we created for the Justice Center City Hall project. Special revenue funds, you'll notice that has increased by about 1.4 million. A lot of that, if you look at the encumbrances outstanding, you'll notice that encumbrances are down by about 3.4 million. So that's kind of helping that one. Enterprise funds is about the same. All other funds is up by about $6 million. That is due to that transfer that I spoke about previously. And with that, that's all I have. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, do I just make a motion to accept, or any just
Call for it.
okay, call for motion to accept?
Yeah, I move that we accept the financial report.
I'll second.
Okay, so you're second. Chris made the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Okay, we have 2 pending legislations, ordinance 19-2026, the grant application citywide master plan, an ordinance approving the submission of a grant application to the Barberton Community Foundation in the amount of $75,000 for assistance in the payment of the citywide master plan and declaring an emergency. And then we also have ordinance number 20-2026, authorizing payment of Summit County Fiscal Office, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to authorize payment in the amount of $24,260 to Summit County Fiscal Office for the rest, for the first half of 2026 radio access fee and declaring emergency. Is there any other comments or remarks? Anything from council, the gallery? Okay, maybe a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second?
Second. And we adjourn at 7:54. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. We'll take a 10-minute break before we go into our legislative meeting. Regular legislative meeting of the Barberton City Council. Today is Monday, February 9th, 2026. The time is 8:08. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation by Councilwoman Jennifer Hager. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. Let us remember that each of us serving in these positions, it is a privilege that we are voted in by the citizens and that we have a responsibility to do the very best that we can to serve them and to make this city the best that it can be. Let us do it with honor and dignity and compassion. Let us remember our police officers, our firemen, and our military. And remember the 21. With that, we pray in your honor. Amen.
Amen. Clerk, please call the roll.
President Griffin,
Here.
Mr. Stoll,
Here.
Mrs. Miller,
Here,
Mrs. Hager,
Here.
Mr. Poorman,
Here.
Mr. Moore,
Here.
Mrs. Beck,
Here.
Ms. Gerhart,
Here.
Mr. Harris.
Present.
Approval of the minutes.
I move
Mr.
that-
Stoll.
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular legislative meeting held on Monday, February 2nd,
I second
2026.
that. I second that.
Thank you. Minutes of the regular legislative meeting, which was held on Monday, as presented. Are there any remarks? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are adopted. Petitions and claims,
We have none.
matters requested,
They've all been dispersed.
citizens addressing council.
We have none.
Yep, none. Consent agenda, ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 19-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman. Title, Grant Application Citywide Master Plan. An ordinance approving the submission of a grant application to the Barberton Community Foundation in the amount of $75,000 for assistance in the payment of the citywide master plan and declaring an emergency. Ordinance number 20-2026, presented by Mr. Poorman. Title, Authorized Payment, Summit County Fiscal Office. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to authorize payment in the amount of $24,260 to the Summit County Fiscal Office for the first half of 2026 radio access fees and declaring an emergency. This ends the consent agenda.
Motion to suspend, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Mr. Stoll.
I second that.
A motion was made by Ms. Gerhart, second by Mr. Stoll, to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Poorman,
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
Yes,
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Stoll,
Yes.
Mrs. Beck.
Yes.
Motion to adopt, Ms. Gerhart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the consent agenda.
Mr. Stoll.
I second that motion.
A motion was made by Ms. Gerhart, second by Mr. Stoll, to adopt the ordinances listed on the consent agenda. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mrs. Beck,
Yes.
Mr. Stoll,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Hager,
Yes.
Mrs. Miller,
yes,
Ms. Gerhart,
Yes.
Mr. Poorman,
Yes.
Mr. Harris.
Yes.
First reading of ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 17-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck. Title, The Straight and Lamp Lumber Company Incorporated Barberton Works Grant Agreement. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a Barberton Works Business Incentive Grant Agreement with the Straight and Lamp Lumber Company Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
Motion to suspend, Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Mrs. Miller?
I second that.
A motion was made by Mrs. Beck Mrs. Beck, seconded by Mrs. Miller to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Poorman?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Motion to adopt, Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I motion that ordinance number 17-2026 be adopted.
And second, Mrs. Miller.
I second that.
A motion was made by Mrs. Beck, second by Mrs. Miller to adopt ordinance number 1720-26. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mr. Poorman?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
No.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay. Ordinance number 18-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck. Title, Community Reinvestment Area. Exemption for 250 South Van Buren Avenue. An ordinance authorizing a community reinvestment area real property tax exemption for 250 South Van Buren Avenue, authorizing the mayor to execute a community reinvestment area tax abatement agreement with the Straight and Lambert Company Incorporated concerning the development of that property and declaring an emergency.
Motion to suspend, Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter be suspended.
Mrs. Miller.
I second that.
A motion was made by Mrs. Beck, seconded by Mrs. Miller to suspend the rule as required by section 5.10 of the Barberton City Charter. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on suspension.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Poorman?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Motion to adopt, Mrs. Beck.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we adopt ordinance 18-2026.
I second that.
A motion was made by Mrs. Beck, seconded by Mrs. Miller to adopt ordinance number 18-2026. Are there any remarks? Clerk, please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Poorman?
Yes.
Mrs. Hager?
Yes.
Mr. Stoll?
Yes.
Ms. Gerhart?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
No.
Mrs. Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Second readings of ordinances and resolutions.
Ordinance number 8-2026, presented by Mrs. Beck and Ms. Gerhart. Title, Adoption of a New Development Code. An ordinance adopting the new City of Barberton Development Code and declaring an emergency. This is the second reading. The first reading was on Monday, February 2nd, 2026, and the third and final reading will be on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. This ends the second readings.
Third readings and ordinances and resolutions.
There are none.
Appointments.
To the Barberton Planning Commission, Macy Davenport, for an unexpired term beginning immediately and ending December 31st, 2027.
Miscellaneous and unfinished business?
Nope, we have to vote.
Have to vote on that.
That's an all those in favor one.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Okay,
She-
motion, it passes.
Yep.
She is a new member. Miscellaneous and unfinished business.
We have a liquor license application that was filed. It is a transfer of an existing license. The address is 618 Worcester Road West. It is a C1 and C2 license. And it is transferred to 618 Worcester LLC, 618 Worcester Road West, Barberton, Ohio, 44203. Bless you. From Magic 1988 Incorporated at 618 Worcester Road West in Barberton, 44203. I've received responses back from the safety director, well, Mrs. Eisman, and Chief Morber. There were no objections to it at all. They didn't have any. And just in case, it's the Magic drive-through over there, in case somebody didn't know where the address was. That there's been no objections, fine. So unless somebody here has one, it's going back.
Communications from the body? Anyone? Hearing none. Mr. Mayor, do you have any communications?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank the Akron Cleveland Association of Realtors. They awarded the city with a $5,000 placemaking project grant towards improvements at the Purple Lot, which is Block 7, across the street from McDonald's. This is a lot that's got a lot of history that we've been looking at for many, many years. It's a long story, but we want to improve that lot. We want to make it more functional. We want to improve the parking. We want to beautify it, improve lighting, all that. So this is only $5,000, but it's a great grant going towards a great purpose for community development downtown. They only gave out 3 grants. The other one was for $5,000. I don't recall where that was, and the other one I believe was $7,500. With the constant weather changes, we got warmer weather here just around the corner, which will have snow and ice melting. So we're always worried about flooding. Maybe not so much flooding with the snow and ice that's here in Barberton, but with the tributaries flowing into town. It depends kind of on the rate of the melting. We can typically handle what is here on our property, if you will, but we've got tributaries running in here from as far away as Sharon Center. So we worry about, no matter what the weather is, we're worrying about something. So we'll see how that goes, and then the chance of another cold spell late next week. Moving forward with the City Justice Center project, we're going to start having council updates. This will be March 2nd, I believe. Higley will be coming in, talking to council, and giving an update every month. So we're kicking that into high gear. I want to congratulate Clem's Viral Bites. Officially opened last week. We're here at 477 West Tuscarawas Avenue. It's a great building. They did a great job, but you can't really appreciate it unless you're in the building prior to Clem's. And so if you have some history there and you go back to even before it was Will's, you can really appreciate the work that went into it and cleaning it up and the rehab. So congratulations to them. And then just recently, a lot of questions on property taxes I've received. How property taxes, or the lack of property taxes. As you may know, that they are looking at circulating a petition to eliminate property taxes altogether. And then there's a lot of discussion, there has been a lot of discussion over the last few years at the State House on how do we lower property taxes or put a ceiling on it. So a lot of questions on how property taxes affect the city's finances, levies, whether it's police, fire, we don't have one for parks or police, but for fire. But some communities have parks in other areas, schools, obviously, countywide agencies that rely on property taxes. What will replace property taxes if they are eliminated? So I've heard everything from increasing, going to the voters to increase income tax at the local level. I've heard going, countywide to increase sales tax. I've heard the state increasing sales tax. So, the sad reality is taxes make government work, right? And so you're gonna pay them one way or another, right? So there's states out there that don't have any income tax. It's all property tax, with very high property tax, very high sales tax. There's other communities or states that have a little bit of everything, like we do. So, it is something that we're discussing with the state of Ohio, with our reps, with the Ohio Municipal League, with other mayors throughout the association of all, pretty much great northern Ohio. Because this is scary and serious terrain that we're heading down, this path. If that happens, what happens to our ability to provide services? What happens to those county agencies that rely on property taxes? Whether that's something as non-political as the zoo, or something that's a little more that's children's services, or something of that nature. So this is, as this discussion continues to heat up over the next few months, I'll hopefully have updates for you. So, but if any questions come up, please let me know. And that's all I have.
Your heart?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I can't remember, did Mr. Coon said we'd have an update on Cox Herald Powell this month or next?
I'm not sure what he said, but we're preparing a meeting internally to talk about that.
Does that involve council or are you not council?
Not council right now. So we're setting up a meeting and then we'll report to council.
Mr. Moore?
Mr. Mayor, is there any update on the subway trash issue?
I haven't received any reviews.
So they made an attempt to pick the dumpster up. It was supposed to be last Monday. There was a truck parked in front, so they have dash cams. They actually provided us footage from where their dumpster truck went.
Okay.
And they were supposed to make an attempt today. So we might drive by there and it might be gone. I don't know. Was it still there on your way in today? Did you notice?
Yeah, I went and looked.
It was, okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, we can follow up with them, with Kimball again.
This morning there was a truck parked in front there, so when I looked, I went down to test, so,
I wonder, okay, so I wonder if it's somebody that lives around. We need to.
they're working.
Wondered if it was
It's
a
either-
postal worker.
It's either postal service or it's
As long as that truck's parked there, when they come to pick the dumpster up, we can't,
Yeah.
We could leave a
fighting
note
that,
on the
so.
truck.
But that,
We leave a note on the truck, cause
Yeah.
there's like 27 other spaces now that the subway's closed.
yeah, we'll have to.
or just call tow truck.
There you go.
Yeah.
Joking.
Thank you.
We'll continue to follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anything else from department heads? Mr. Sweet, got anything? If nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Stoll.
I move that we adjourn.
Second, Mrs. Miller.
I second that.
It was moved by Mr. Stoll and second by Mrs. Miller that we adjourn. All those in favor, signify by aye. We're adjourned at 8:26.
Thank you, sir.